Hello, everybody, and welcome to the sixth episode of Engage with Us, previously known as Engage with Zenith. We are the podcast centered around esports, more specifically the world of Pokemon and Pokemon Unite news and events. I am excited to be here as your host today, Kelosaurus, and we have a pretty stacked lineup of guests, which we will shortly introduce as well. The wonderful talent duo we have seen throughout this year covering the NA and the EU regions of the Pokemon Unite Championship Series, WonderChef and Zoinks, and we also have team manager of Talent PH and community head of Pokemon Unite Philippines, Berty. So I think we bring him in and ask how they're going. How are you going today, folks?
Good. Very good.
I'm doing great. Yeah.
How about you, Chef? I'm doing good.
I'm happy to be here. I know there's a lot of talk right now. We're kind of in that we're in that phase where everybody just wants to look forward to Worlds, and it's pretty exciting.
Yes, exactly. It's time is going quicker and quicker. I swear it was only 2 months ago, and then now it's 1 month and 1 week to go until I guess, we'll have the teams in Hawaii competing. So definitely really exciting. But what we're going to be covering today is, I guess, the group stages. Going to be putting in our predictions for who we think will actually make it into day 2. And I guess any extra information that you folks have about these teams and any other thoughts. But Chef, you were actually there in studio doing the selection for these groups with Spraggles. Could you tell us a little bit more about how this process went? And I guess anything else you'd like to mention?
Yeah, no, I mean, it was kind of out of nowhere. Last year, of course, Spraggles got to do it by himself, which was, it was a really cool video. But this year we got to go into the studios and hang out with the stairs, which is obviously the strongest member of our cast. And we got to throw watermelons and pineapples. It was lots of fun. So it was just a big surprise to me. It wasn't that far ahead that we learned about it. And there was just a lot of care put into making sure that everything was, I guess, set for competitive integrity. But aside from that, which obviously is a great thing, but aside from that, we just had fun, we kind of just did whatever, which is, I think, kind of the classic of what we do.
I have to ask, were the pineapples and the coconuts actually organized in a nice, neat pile?
Beforehand or after?
Afterwards, when you were throwing them, you're oh yeah, that's nice and neat.
No, so basically, those big gray trash cans, or trash bins, the big ones that they have at schools and stuff. We had one of those, and we put a big rug around it to make sure that if we missed, it wasn't gonna clack 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 clack. And we were just trying to throw it into it every single time, and we got most of them, but it was not a 100% rate, I would say, which is, it was still not bad. But somebody has a picture of it. Hopefully, eventually they tweet it.
Yes, I'd love to see a picture of the aftermath of all the pineapples and the coconuts once they have been drawn. Now, Zoinks and Chef, I know you actually covered the groups yourself. I guess, as we head on in, we're going to break down each of the individual groups, and I believe you also have your top 2 picks, because for those folks that aren't familiar with the format, I guess, Zoinks, you probably know a little bit more of the format of the 2 days for the World Championship Series. So could you just, I guess, catch us up to speed for those that aren't familiar with it yet?
Sure. Yeah, it's going to be another 2-day tournament like almost all the in-person events have been for Pokemon Unite so far. The difference between this year and last year's World Championships, though, one thing that's not different, this is 8 groups yet again, of 4 for the most part, a couple of groups only having 3 teams. But this year, 2 teams will make it out of groups, 1 team in the first seed position, another team in the second seed position. And then in day 2, all those teams will be entered into a single elimination bracket. So, kind of alleviating that pressure that a lot of players were feeling on day 1 in last year of Worlds, that they literally couldn't lose a game, or basically their hopes of the World Championships were over. Now it's a little more chill in the round robin side of things, marginally speaking, and then things get crazy in day 2 in the single elim bracket. So that's what we're going to be looking forward to in terms of format.
Thank you, Zoinks. I have to ask, Bertie, because you are a manager for Talon PH, one of the teams that is going to be participating, I guess, what are your thoughts around this change in format in comparison to last year? What are the team's thoughts? Are they liking the changes a lot better, or yeah?
Actually, speaking in behalf of the team also, when it comes to the format right now in the World Championship, that's not new to us because that always happened, especially specifically here in the Philippines when we're having Philippine Open or Philippine tournament, going to World Championship. It's pretty much the same format, so we are used to it. So you guys be ready because we know how to do to compete in this kind of format. However, when it comes to the World Championship itself, basically what the my team is really telling me is just that it will really depends on the meta on that specific date of the World Championship because that's where let's say those teams that we don't see. Like what happened to Elevate Unite last year, like they are the dark horse, but because of the meta, they are very good at the current meta of what's happening during the World Championship. They really advance as the second top best team in the world. So we are really instead of looking out to, of course, we're still looking out on the different teams in each group, but we're still looking out on for the next patch or who will be the next Pokemon that will be part of the meta.
I guess that's the interesting thing is we're coming to the end of the season with a new Pokemon coming on
exactly.
our Ho-Oh.
Mhm.
And if pattern serves us right, we're probably going to get a patch at that time where there will be those meta shifts. So teams will have 1 month pretty much to nail that meta and figure out all these different team compositions. Whether we're going to see a lot of what we've seen previously, I guess what recently a lot of all-rounders have really been at the top along with defenders. So whether there's going to be any shakeups there, that'll be really, really interesting. But I guess moving forward, let's start taking a look at these groups. I guess, the alphabet will start from the very beginning, not A through L, but we're going from A through Group H. So Group A, Zoinks. What, I guess, we have, just to clarify, who is in Group A? We have SAUL Esports, who is from India, Legacy, who is representing Brazil, Ison Umento?
Yeah,
from Apex East, and from the NA region, we have Luminosity. Who are your top two picks here? Zoinks to make it to day 2.
Oh, man. Okay, so, I've been pouring my brain over all of these groups for ever since it was announced, honestly. So, thank you, WonderChef, for producing that, of course. Solo show, you absolutely carried. But I did want to say, whatever. These groups are insane. This group, in particular, is so closely ranked. Like, I think out of all 8 of mine, and literally by, my power rankings, of course, very scientific way of doing things, this is the most tightly packed group in terms of placements according to each other. Group A is like a standout in that fashion, so it's really tough to pick. That being said, I am going to be picking Luminosity and Legacy to be making it out of this group. I think it's the safe pick. I know it's a little bit boring, not exactly a hot take, but I can't count out Luminosity. They're literally the 2-time world champions. Yes, NA is maybe not looking as strong as the last 2 years, but we kind of said that about NA last year, and then they won it all again. So I am going to give them some credit there, and I'm not going to not vote for Baby Mazo. So that is going to be my Group A predictions.
We always love seeing Baby Mazo up on that stage. Chef, what about you? Who are yours exactly the same as Zoinks, or did you have some different takes for this group?
Yeah, this one's, in my opinion, the toughest group to figure out who's actually going to make it out. I think that easily anybody could ruin one other person's day, especially with 2 out. It's by far to me the closest group. When we did Overdunk, we voted kind of like 3 separate directions, and we had like a 3-way tie, and it was basically impossible to figure it out. But
I think we all said we blacked out, and then when we all woke up, that was the predictions we had. Like it is such a tough one.
Oh.
Then you chose the one that would get us blown up on Twitter the most, which is definitely the smart choice. Good.
All right, make your picks.
All right. my picks. So I think it's going to be S8UL and Luminosity this time around.
Okay.
I have a lot of confidence in S8UL. I still think they're really good. I think the region's looking really good going into this. And then Luminosity, we really got to see. I feel like the last Luminosity we saw at NAIC was like kind of good, but definitely not like top team. I mean, they got third within the region, and it was a close match between third and fourth. And they've got plenty of time to build back up, and you just can't tell yet whether or not they've hit that, because obviously they haven't been showing off exactly how strong they are. But just from what we've seen so far, I gotta say they're like getting out maybe second in that pool. But S8UL, I have a lot of confidence.
Oh, so you think S8UL will actually defeat Luminosity this time round? I guess the run back from last year.
I do think
Berty, what are your thoughts?
Okay, so I get okay. First, I'll go with Zoinks and WonderChef. Luminosity is number one. We'll be moving on the second day.
Number
But
one. Okay. Berty,
yeah.
let's go.
But for me, I think if I do say so myself, I'm pretty like a subject matter expert when it comes to team in APAC East and West. I'm torn between Seoul Esports and Eastern Omento because I know both of these teams. I'm friends with them, but I'll go with Eastern Omento because if I'll compare the gameplay of Seoul Esports and Eastern Omento, I'm definitely leaning to Eastern Omento. It's not because they're from the Philippines, but I've been with them in the battlefield in the TF Sky Ruins, and I can say that I am more confident in the gameplay of Eastern Omento. And just so you know, guys, that Eastern Omento, the players here are the former Talon players also last year. Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Definitely.
So I'll go with Luminosity
jot
and
down.
Eastern. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes. Well, Luminosity has pretty much that different roster bar Overlord.
Everyone is
this time year. It's all switched up. Well, I'm also going with the boring choice, as Zoinks has dubbed it. And I actually ended up selecting a Legacy and Luminosity as my top two. Legacy being number one and Luminosity being number two. So let's move on to Group B, and I guess Berty, no bias here. That is kind of hard, I suppose. To recap who we have in Group B, we have Talon PH representing APAC East, Kakalok, who's from APAC West. From LATAM South, we have Imperial Esports, and NA is going to be G. So, Berty, I'm going to ask you first, and I think it's pretty obvious what your selections are going to be here. Well, one of them. Who do you think is going to be making it out of that Group B stage?
Okay, so actually during the time when WonderChef and Spraggles were picking for the Group B, I remember it's WonderChef who picked the name for Talon on Group B. We were like, oh, we are very happy, like because we really want to be at the first letters of the group stage. And then when we saw G, we were like, oh no. I remember our speedster Sync One said, "Oh, G, that's where Slash is." I was like, "Oh yeah, I remember." Okay, so we're like, at least there's no Overlord. They said, okay.
Sure.
So yeah, but yeah, of course, I'll go with Talon, and my second pick will be G because we are. Well, spoiler alert. G is the one we are really preparing for during the group stage. Mm-hmm.
What about yourself, Chef? Any different ideas here, or?
No, honestly, I mean, respect to the other teams, but I think both Talon and G are like really on a roll right now, and I think we might get some repeat answers for that one. So I'm going with the same one, Talon and G.
All right, spoiler alert, I have also gone for Talon and G. So Zoinks, you are the deciding factor here. Have you gone with anything different? Or are you in our ballpark?
Zoinks.
Shout
I'm
out
looking at
Cakelock, baby. Let's go. Talon and Cakelock are making it out of the group. I'm not going to lie. I am pretty high on G. However, I have to accept the fact that they did qualify 4th out of a region that is definitely a stacked region, a very talented region in NA, but they did have to qualify via a secondary tournament to do so. I don't know. I've been hearing some good things about this Cakelock squad, and I mean, when I'm picking a second team out of a group, because obviously Talon's getting first. Please don't hate me, Berty. I think that I'm gonna go for APAC West here. Let's do it. I'm going Talon and Cakelock.
Oh, okay. So only the one difference between the rest of us. But I guess we'll have to wait and see how Group B goes and whether Bertie will be down there cheering for Talon and screaming on day 2 for them. So Group C, we have this one. This is where my bias comes out, starting from now. Group C, we have from EU, we have Nouns Esports. From Korea, Zora Tigers Gaming. OC is going to be Antic Esports. And from Japan is Reject. So my top 2 picks here have been Nouns and, surprise, surprise, Antic Esports. I was a little bit unsure considering their run in the regionals, but I thought, you know what, I'm going to have to support the boys at home, so I have put Antic Esports to come second and Nouns first. How about yourself, Chef?
I love everybody in Antic, but I do feel like they're in the same spot as possibly like Luminosity to me, where I know that they can do really well, but their last showing to me wasn't like the best, obviously, in the world. But I like, for example, going into EUIC, I had a ton of confidence in Antic, so I can't like pick them right now. But just because I haven't seen them play in such a long time, so I gotta go Nouns, and then I'm gonna go Zora Tigers Gaming. This was another really hard group. Like, this is one of the most difficult groups. I think this one and A are the ones that I might have had the most trouble with, because like it's hard not to say Reject. They're great as well, but I like what I see from Zora Tigers Gaming. Nouns, to me, they also just feel like they're on a roll, so that's my picks.
What about yourself, Zoinks?
I'm in a repeat situation as WonderChef. I think Nouns and Zora Tigers Gaming are great, but the fact that we're aligned on picks is not reflecting how difficult I do think Group C really is. I have to vote Nouns. I mean, I think Nouns is extremely strong right now. What a time to peak for that roster of all times to peak. This is a great time to do so. If we're looking at a new metagame, I always look towards who's the defender player on that team. Usually they're the ones that have to adapt the most in terms of play style, and sometimes in terms of Pokemon choice, but mostly in terms of who do I counter, how do I shut down, yada yada yada. Bruv's an incredible tank. So is Ward on Zora Tigers Gaming. Guys, giga cracked. So those are the 2 rosters I'm going with. Not that Reject and Antic don't have great defenders. I just, in a world that is 2 patches since a recent tournament, I'm going to be focusing on those 2 teams.
Sounds good. What about yourself, Bertie?
Okay, I'll go with Chef and Zoinks. That I'll go with Zora Tigers Gaming because, it's really their defender is really great, and they really adapt so easily when it comes to the new metas of or in every patch that's happening in the game. But my second pick, I'll go with Reject. Why? Because I don't know if some Asian teams will agree to me, but Japan teams are, I think, the trendsetters here at the APAC East and the APAC West. So every time there's a new things that this Japanese team are doing, we try to adapt it, especially here in the Philippines, and see if it will work. And also, there are always surprise rotation that this Japanese team are doing every time we play with them. So I think. I'm expecting that there will be again a surprise, like a strategy or rotation to this to the Reject team. So I'll go with Zora Tigers Gaming and Reject for here.
Yeah, Japan teams, they just seem to offer something different. Looking at the roster, there's some very familiar names. Pee-wee, I think it was pronounced. Is that right, Zoinks?
Mhm. Yeah, Pee-wee.
And
Piui.
Haruta.
Yeah, Pee-wee.
Yes. So very familiar names, and seeing them, I believe a few of these actually did play at Worlds last year as well.
Yeah, it's just like
so-
Secret Ship Part 3, kind of. That's sort of the roster we're looking at. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a joke there. What's the thing of like if you replace every part of a ship, is it the same ship? Somebody's trying me. There's a joke there. I'll think about it later. But you get what I'm saying.
Theseus. The secret ship of Theseus.
Yes, exactly. That's it. That's what we're gonna call it.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's what they need to go and
That's
rename themselves to then.
To a joke of all time.
Oh,
Berty's
okay.
like, oh, okay.
I was like, okay.
All right, let's get back to
I
the
don't know
picks.
if I
Don't even make
should.
fun of my jokes.
Group D, baby.
Group D. We have from APAC East, Shin and Rude, OC, Ground Zero Gaming, DreamMax Esports from Brazil, and LATAM North Rework Respawn. Zoinks, I'm gonna throw it to you first.
Sure.
What are your thoughts? This was probably my hardest group to choose.
Really? Okay. Well, yeah. All right. I'm looking at why now. Okay. I understand. A little less hard for me to choose. And honestly, it is a bit of a choice with my heart. We gave a little subtitle to every group just for fun. We called this one the Revenge Group because Shin and Rude and Rework Respawn had an amazing matchup at EUIC, and I want that run back. I think that's going to be the placement game for first and second out of Group D. So I think Shin Rude versus Rework Respawn is going to be there, but I'm leaning Rework Respawn for 2 times in a row. I think Reggie and the boys can do it over there in LATAM North. So Rework Respawn in first place. Shin and Rude end up in second out of Group D.
Okay, Berty, what about yourself?
Well, actually, it's the same with not. Okay, yeah, actually, it's the same with Zoinks. Well,
Okay.
When we were watching the battle of Shin and Rude and we were Respawn, we were like, we stopped playing. I mean, the boys, that's how they stopped playing, and we literally watched the whole game, and it was
Awesome.
one of the best games that we have watched. And I don't want to underestimate Shin and Rude also because they are one of the toughest teams that we are battling here in Asia. So I'll go with the same with Zoinks. I'll go with Shin and Rude and Rework Respawn. I want to go with Ground Zero Gaming because I've seen them play, but Rework Respawn is really the one that my heart is saying.
I feel that. Oh, how about yourself, Chef?
Yeah, honestly, this is a tough group as well because I personally think that Shinrade and Rework Respawn could easily either of them make it within the top 3 of Worlds very easily. So just having them in one group makes it one of the scariest groups. So I have to choose them as well. But I don't think it's a big surprise to anybody. I think both teams have already shown so much this season and everybody's really looking out for them. I would love to see Ground Zero do really well, of course, but they have to show off something like really new. I don't know. Maybe Joe's Scissor will be like something that I'm ready for or something. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, Kello, tell us why Ground Zero's making it out of Group D. What's going on here?
Oh, look. Okay, that is going to be that biased option. For me, I have gone Shin and Rude and Ground Zero Gaming for that safer option. But my thoughts in terms of who I actually think will end up making it out is going to be Rework Respawn and Shin and Rude. I guess just their demonstrations from earlier in the season at EUIC, the fact that they had so much prowess to show them just demonstrates that they have more than likely improved since then as well. Ground Zero Gaming, I guess, considering the history that they have had throughout this season, these regional winners aren't exactly the same team that participated throughout UCS. They were, they're all friends and they've played together, but I guess it's the fact of just the same team members being consistent throughout the season, which I feel like Ground Zero Gaming is lacking. So, still going to have to root for them.
2 weeks
but
before
yeah. And I know they're probably, they're working hard and training, but even then, in terms of, I guess, OC disadvantage is, well, we don't really have many teams here in the region to scrim against unless you play on ping, in comparison to these other regions which have a much larger player pool, so a lot more practice across the board on even fields. So I mean, that's definitely one thing that we're going to have to consider is these teams, a lot of them playing their first in-person event, experiencing that no ping, pretty much that LAN event. It's a totally different experience. And also the fact that you're playing on stage, not behind your computer and not in bed handheld like Joe used to do in season 1. So, well, there we go. I guess Shin and Rude and Rework Respawn seem to be the top 2 choices for Group D then, across the board, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did anyone have Shin and Rude first out of that group in Group D?
I think maybe.
We all have
You
maybe?
Say, yeah.
Rework
I feel like they're pretty close. Like, they're a toss-up.
Yeah.
Like, that game was so good.
Yeah.
Close. If there's one match I want to see out of groups, it's Shin Rude and Rework Respawn. And Luminosity SAUL. Both those matches are probably my top 2 if I had to see. Obviously, there's a lot of matches I want to see, but they just have fun history, I guess.
Alright, so producers take note. This is what Chef wants. Bring Chef what he wants. Alright, moving forward. We're now at the halfway point. Going into Group E. Oh, once again, these teams are stacked. Champion Lord from Japan, Latam North, Giannis HG. We have Elevate from APAC East, and EU is going to be Vamoose. I'm gonna throw it up to you here. I hear you, Berty. You seem very excited about this group. What are your top 2
not
picks?
really, because I know these teams there. It's so hard to pick on this Group E when we are watching the live broadcast of group stage bracketing. I was like, when we see the Group E, we were like, this will be the powerhouse. This will be the best groups so far. Well, for us, it's Group E and Group F, to be honest. But we're talking about Group E, so it's so hard to choose right now because these are the one of the greatest teams that we know so far, especially the Champion Lord. This is one of the best teams in Japan also. But okay, I will be biased for this round. Okay, for this group, I'll go with Elevate Unite. I still don't want to. I don't want to underestimate Tempest here, and of course, JR Absent, because these 2 are really great support and defender of the team. Like if they set in a clash, you oh my gosh, you pray if you want to get out of that clash. Next will be okay, I'll go with Champion Lord, because again, like what I mentioned from the previous Japanese team, that there are multiple surprises that this Japanese team are always doing. Like there are things that like very unexpected that you will see in the battlefield. So yeah, let's go with Elevate and Champion Lord. Okay, don't get mad at me, Elevate. I already voted for you guys.
No bias here. No, not at all. Zoinks. How about yourself? Zoinks. How about yourself?
Me. Sorry. Yeah.
Right.
Sorry, I'm in awe
Deep
of
in
Champion
thought.
Lord's strength and their ability. So that was just too stunned to speak. Champion Lord, easiest first seed pick of my life coming out of this group. I think you would be hard pressed to find someone who doesn't consider this team to be the favorites to win it all this year. And I mean, traditionally, favorites have not won these tournaments. So just want to make that clear. But Champion Lord, I think the favorites to win this event. And in second place, it's really hard not to choose Elevate just because they got second place last year, but they also got second place in their regional final to a very good team in Talon. Don't worry, but because of that, I'm going LATAM North again. I'm voting Giannis HG to be the second seed out of this group. I think it's gonna be Champion Lord and them. I love Tempest. They are an incredible defender player, but so is Kira, and I like that matchup a lot. I know we're talking about defenders so much. When there's new metas, I already mentioned, that's what I like to focus on. So that is where I'm going to be going. My heart wants what it wants, so I'm going with Jonas HG is number 2 with that Group E.
I believe Champion Lord is number 1 on your power rankings as well.
Champion Lord is number 2, and to be honest, they probably should be number 1. But that's a
Who do you
different
have
stream.
number 1?
Fusion. Fusion's number 1.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
I guess that's a story for another day.
Right, exactly.
Oh, Chef, how about yourself? Grouping.
I have to agree with the Champion Lord Elevate, but I think a lot of upsets could happen here, like one weird upset. I think if there's one team to like look at as far as upsets, it's Vamos, because I think that EU plays really. I said this before, the exact same wording. They play really funny, and they're very like aggressive, and they play some weird comps, and it does like kind of work. I feel like they could catch people by surprise. Especially, I think when a team kind of gets in and they didn't think they were going to get in and they kind of have nothing to lose because they're already on like borrowed time. I feel like they can just kind of go for stuff, and Vamos might just go for stuff. And I would love to see that. But I'm going to go with the safe pick regardless, which is Champion Lord Elevate.
Yeah, and finally, for me, I've also gone for Champion Lord. It was very tricky between Janus and Elevate to pick between them. I guess on paper, when you look at everybody's results and how they ended up qualifying for the World Championships, yes, for me, Vamoose, yeah, they... circuit points, obviously we know they mean the world, yes, it gets you a spot at Worlds, but I guess just in terms of the other teams' placements, which is why I haven't actually selected Vamoose based on that. But my second pick is going to have to be, I'm sorry, Berty, I've gone with Latam North, Janus HG, so yeah, although... Once again, Tempest, absolutely love seeing them, and this is a group I am very much looking forward to. All right, I think
it's our first 2-2 split for that group. That's pretty cool.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So hard to choose.
So hard.
All right, Group F. This is another hard group to choose. Honestly, they're all just really tricky and my brain hurts. But from NA, we have Orange Juices, Latam South is Fusion, Evos Onyx from APAC West, and Yala Bingo from the EU region. So I guess I'll go first this time round. I have selected Orange Juices. Rooting for them. I absolutely love their roster, and influence from Zoinks' power board rankings, I have selected Fusion. I mean, if they're number 1, then but even the fact that they were our AOS Cup champions just says something there. So let's throw it over to you, Zoinks.
Yeah, Fusion are getting first in this group. They literally haven't lost a tournament in this season. Whether it's at home in their region or internationally at EUIC, they are a 100% tournament win rate. I'm predicting them to make it out of groups. So Fusion is going first. Second, I have Orange Juicers coming out of this group. Evos, Onyx, and Yellow Bingo, well, very solid teams and have had decent seasons this year. I just think these two teams are far and away the strongest in Group F. I actually... Everybody was talking about how this was like the group of death or whatever when these groups came out, and I was kind of sitting there scratching my head because I was like, I don't know, like C, E, A all seem like a lot harder to predict. This one just seems like a pretty, I don't know. I'm very confident in Fusion and Orange just making it out of the group, as what I'll say.
Any different thoughts there, Chef?
I think this is maybe considered like a death group because if it wasn't Orange Juices and Fusion in this group, Evos, Onyx, and Yellow Bingo would be like potentially making it out of like most of the other groups or like some of the other groups.
Ooh,
but
interesting.
It's just so scary because like they are in there, and I do agree with you. And basically everything that I said about E is about F, but times like 3. So like Yellow Bingo in particular, they play such interesting comps, and they're very all or nothing, right? We've seen them just dominate. We've seen them just get crushed, which is no offense to them. They're a great team. But if they can continue with like how they dominate and they don't like run into that wall, they could take out one of the more popular teams just like by the fact that they've got such weird like comps, and they can like really snowball really well. And then, I mean, honestly, it's a tough one. The safe bet is Orange Juice's Fusion in whatever order, Fusion then Orange Juicers. But I do think that this is some of the highest potential for an upset in a group.
Ooh.
I guess there's that potential for Yala Bingo to catch any one of these teams off guard with their unusual picks. I guess it's that sense of high risk, high reward. But then it's also high risk where you kind of end up just flopping and losing it all. So I guess that's one that we're definitely going to have to keep our eyes on. What about yourself, Bertie? Do you have any other thoughts for Group F?
Okay, so first I'll agree with Chef that Yala Bingo is one of the best teams here at the Group F. The things that happened to them during the tournament is just personally, it's just like a polishing, because we in Pokemon Unite, everything is high risk, high reward. So if you have that courage on doing this, then you have a high chance, of course, in winning, especially during the Rayquaza fight, right? And that's what I like about the Yala Bingo. So first, yeah, I'll go with Yala Bingo, and yes, spoiler alert too. I agree with Zoinks, Fusion. So yes, Fusion don't have any loss during this season, and then they also beat Tachiban, which is one of the during our Asia Championship League tournament, the one that who defeated us during that time. And then yeah, Fusion is when we won the Philippine tournament. When they asked me, we are really looking out for Fusion. So yeah, so Fusion, sleep well. We're looking out for you guys, the Talon PH.
Ooh.
Spoiler
Call
alert.
out.
Yeah.
No juice for Bertie there then.
Yeah.
Don't want them oranges. Only pineapples and coconuts here. All right, I guess. Wait, did I end up asking you, Chef? I did ask you. I asked you first, didn't I? Okay. Lost my train of thought. All right, I guess this is where it gets interesting, because these final two groups, Group G and H, while all of the other ones have 4 teams each, Group G and H only have the 3 groups. So they are going to be playing less matches overall on day 1, and it's only one of the teams that don't actually end up qualifying to day 2. So I think, once again, it was really tricky trying to rack my brain of who to actually choose between the 3 and 3. For Group G, let's throw it over to you, Chef. I've lost my track of order of who's going, but you're it. Tag, you're it. You're in. Onyx Rise is going to be representing APAC West. Zeta Division for Japan, and Latam South is 3 Digitos. What are your thoughts on Group G?
It's a really tough group to decide with only 3. I definitely have to vote for Zeta Division, aka Kabi-chan's. They have such a good record over this season; it's impossible not to. I think. And then past that, I don't know. Onyx Rise and 3 Geos both have some like pretty interesting storylines amongst the season. So I don't know. I can't really choose. I feel like.
Where's your heart going, Chef?
My heart says. I don't know. This one is like super even for me. The only one that I know is the Zeta Division's making it out. I'll say
flip a coin.
I think Latam South is just looking really strong this year in general.
Dang.
But it could go either way. Could go either way.
Oh, Zoinks, do you have anything different to what Chef has just put forward?
Not going to disagree with the first seed pick. I think Zeta Division looks amazing. Kabi-chan's is one of the strongest teams in the world. They've really only been felled by a couple of different teams, that being Fusion and Champion Lord. So they're at the top of the totem pole for a reason. I think second in this group, though, is going to be Onyx Rise. 3 Digitos, they get a lot of cred these days for being in LATAM South. They pushed Fusion to the absolute limit in their regional finals, but They also didn't win their regional finals, so that's like the only detractor for me. Just Onyx Rise looks like in their really good form. They have a lot of stage experience, both in the Asian Champions League and in the World Championship. So I'm putting my eggs in the Rise basket. So Zeta Division and Onyx Rise are my two picks.
I think that's really one thing that they have over a lot of these other teams is their stage presence. I guess because you do have the APAC regions having other in-person events, it really helps build up that confidence, which a lot of the other regions don't actually have those in-person events to get rid of those nerves. So for me, I've also gone Onyx Rise and Zeta Division as my top two picks. Bertie, where's your heart going for Group G?
Well, guys, it's pretty much the same with you. I'll go with experience, of course. Zeta Division. I've seen them play, and of course, Onyx Rise. I've been with them in the battlefield. Sometimes I join them playing, so I'll go with these two teams.
Okay.
Right, last but not least, Group H, and this is another interesting one. Team MYS from APAC West, and Taku from LATAM North, and Nemesis, who has actually been recently picked up by Fluffy Aimers. So we're not sure whether they're going to go by Fluffy Aimers or Fluffy Nemesis as of yet. So I guess we can just call them Fluffy, which is a really cute name for them. They may be fluffy, but they are fierce, folks. Do not underestimate them. But they are your last team for Group H. Let's throw it over to you, Bertie. Who do you think is going to make it out of Group H into day 2?
Okay, so I think for this group, I'll go with first Nemesis, and then of course Team MYS. Again, I'll base it on the experience, and of course I can pretty much say something for Team MYS because Team MYS is one of the powerhouse also here in Asia. So I think I'll go with MYS and Nemesis for this group.
Zoinks, what about yourself?
I have the same picks. I'm going with, just a lot of stage experience and things like that before. I think this group does get a little interesting in terms of choices when you think about the history of both MYS and Nemesis. They are teams that can kind of have hit or miss results, like unexpected lows in their kind of graph of as history as teams. However, both these teams are well known for when they lock in, they are locked in. They are going very far in tournaments. Nemesis went 5-0 in an open qualifier that was absolutely stacked at EUIC. Team MYS running up their region. So that is going to be Nem and Team MYS for my votes. Nemesis first seed, MYS second.
How about yourself, Chef? Any other different thoughts, or is it pretty much the same?
I'm just laughing because Zoinks said locked in again. It's just in his.
I've just bought into it now.
Yeah,
I have to.
There's nothing else you can do. But I agree. Fully. I think that it's again kind of scary because it's only 3. But Nemesis, TMYS, just history. I mean, Antago could definitely pull off some upset. I feel like they're one of the teams that they don't get as much visibility as some of the other teams, and they've done pretty well for being in what is a pretty interesting region because that's one of the regions that's had the most shift as far as who's been able to win at times and not a lot of the other regions. It's been okay, well, just these 2 teams that are just going back and forth and winning, or just this one team that's just winning the entire thing. But LATAM North has had some weird shifts overall. So I'm interested for a lot of the quote unquote secondary teams. I know we look a lot at Rework Respawn, but they got 3rd in a tournament in their own region. So a lot of the other teams could do something and pull some upsets, but I'm still going with the boring answer.
Well, boring answer in this ballpark as well. I have gone with Team MIS and Nemesis. I guess just seeing their season run this year in terms of Anteco, I'm going to be honest, I'm not very familiar with them. I don't think I have witnessed a lot of their games, so I just wasn't really too sure. But I guess this is where the upsets could happen is well, because Anteku, they're kind of sitting under there, unaware of, just we're unaware of really what they can do. I mean, the fact that they have obviously made it to the World Championships speaks wonders of its own through their circuit points. So, whether there is going to be a bit of a switch up here, but yeah, Team MIS or Nemesis or fluffy aimers, as they will be known as, are going to be my top 2 picks. But that pretty much rounds out our thoughts for all of these groups. Before we do start wrapping up for the day, I guess any last final thoughts that any of you would like to bring up about any of these groups, or just overall in terms of the World Championship Series?
I'll start with a final thought. I mean, we talked about one of the biggest talking points of these groups is just the unknown meta that we're headed into. It's 2 months from our last event, but it's way longer than that for the majority of these teams who were competing to qualify for Worlds. Like, I think back to like when EU and OC last played, it's ages ago. Same with a lot of the APAC teams and things like that. So it has been so long. And our big talking point at Worlds is always, I'm so excited to watch like the regional metas clash. We have no idea what the regional metas are even going to be, much less what it's going to look like when they actually do clash. So I guess if my final note is just, I can't wait to see what actually happens in the server. I'm very much buckling down to expect the unexpected for this event more than any other Worlds before it. So I'm quite excited about that.
They were the exact words that popped into my brain as well. Expect the unexpected, because we just do not know what is going to happen at Worlds. What about yourself, Chef? Any final thoughts?
Basically everything that's been said. We got to see what happens in the patch, and there's so many teams that either are going to pull together or fall apart. I'm sure that's going to happen. That's just classic Unite. Teams have whether, not that they're not going to show up, but sometimes teams just kind of they don't really want to play together anymore, especially when it's been like 2 months since they've already qualified. Hopefully that doesn't happen for anybody. I feel like it might. One thing is I have been watching some community tournaments for EU, and I feel like EU is looking pretty good to me. Like, they're really grinding. And I do like that a lot. But aside from that, yeah, it's such a tough pick. It's an infinitely tough pick. I feel like this is maybe one of the toughest years that we've had as far as like trying to figure out who's getting out and who's making it past the first round of top 16, and let alone who's winning.
I think that's actually a really good point to make, is in comparison to the previous years, the grassroots scene is bustling. Like, there are so many tournaments happening, not just within singular regions, but it's also the clash of the regions. And I guess, one thing I have to put out here is, if you are part of the Pokemon Unite scene, whether you're a competitor or just a simple spectator that enjoys watching competitive Unite, is to be sure to, support those grassroots scenes, because after all, this is all practice for the big leagues like the Unite Championship Series. It all works together and everything like that. And it makes me really proud to be a part of the Pokemon Unite community, and to see so many community members behind the scenes putting in the effort and the work to support all of these players. So I think that's definitely one difference we have going into the World Championships this year in comparison to last year, is that there's just so many opportunities to practice, besides, teams just organizing their own scrims and whatnot. At least it alleviates a lot of that pressure to, reach out to people and DMs and be like, hey, you want a scrim? Like, let's all so yes, please
that's
go
Berty's
and
job.
support those. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. But not all teams have a manager,
They should.
Berty, any final thoughts before we wrap on up?
Yeah, I just want to share with you. Speaking of Scream, yeah, I heard one of OCE team will fly in Thailand to do a boot camp, and they're asking us to have a Scream. You want to know who?
I know. As well,
The details.
I actually think we
Okay.
could all assume, probably, to be honest.
Yeah.
Well, of course, we agreed because
Theory.
even here in the Philippines, I mean, even here in the Philippines, even us in Talon, I think it's also happening in Isanomento and Elevate that the screams or the team who are available for screams are very limited because everyone is every team who are in serious practice right now are the ones who will compete for the world championship. If we can just have a screen for NA and EU, we will definitely jump. But of course, there will be a big issue. So for us here in the Philippines, it's just very limited. So I'm looking forward to do the screen for the OCE team. But in World Championship again, it's everything has been said. But the things that I am really looking forward to is of course the regional meta clash. Also, I somehow see it every time we watch like a community tournament that is also happening here in Asia. So it's so fun to see those regional clash metas that we are like. There are a lot of surprises that is happening, and there are of course non-meta Pokemons who are being picked, and it really works. So I hope to see that also in World Championship. And as much as I want to say this, but I do hope that it will not happen for my team because last year what happened, right? That there are a lot of top picks team who didn't make on the second round, and everyone were surprised, even us.
Yeah.
So let's see what will happen. But I'm pretty sure each team are really working hard to be, to put the best during this World Championship. And I'm also looking forward to see you guys if you will go in Hawaii because that's the time we're gonna see each other. So that's it for me.
Thank you so much. Well, that does wrap up our podcast for today. So thank you so much, Bertie, Zoinks, and Chef for joining me today. Any final shout outs that any of you would like to do as well? Where can we find you on socials? As well, if anybody isn't already following you, Chef.
You can follow me at twitch.tv/UniteMics. That's where I host tournaments.
Boo.
No, check out Mayhem though. Unite Mike's Mayhem. I'm at EGPWonderChef everywhere, and I don't tweet about anything relevant, and I don't stream about anything relevant, and I don't upload YouTube videos for anything relevant. So if you want to play 14 with me, Final Fantasy 14, then that's where you can find me.
Shout out.
Look, if you
you can
folks aren't
find me-
already following, I was gonna say, if you folks aren't already following Zoinks, you're all living under a rock. You should know Zoinks.
Yeah,
Please,
yeah.
Zoinks, tell us your socials.
I agree.
Yeah, you can follow me at ZoinksCast. I just post pictures of this whiteboard every time that it changes. That's basically my profile now. But for real, thank you so much to EngageWithUs for having us all on. Make sure to follow them at all the social links in the world down below, and look forward to what this organization is doing. I mean, WonderChef already mentioned Unite Mics. We're partnering with them on a tournament series right now. They're putting up podcasts like this. Clearly, they really care about this scene, and they're really trying to do a lot of cool things. So make sure to follow EngageWithUs everywhere. Subscribe. You get the buttons. You get it.
And follow
We're
Zoinks too.
just all like shouting out other people. We're going in like a line,
Yeah, Bertie.
How about yourself, Bertie?
Oh yeah, so you can follow me on Twitter also. It's Firelord Berty. If you want to see Talon PH dance, so I post our videos there every time we do like this reels, and I post it on Twitter, and also some news about what's happening specifically for Pokemon Unite Philippines community. So we also held a lot of community tournaments here. So if you want to watch and be and see all the grassroots Philippine teams who are, if I do say so myself, who are really doing good right now. And you can follow me. And yeah, of course, thank you also to EngageWithUs for inviting me. And yeah, see you on Twitter, guys.
Thank you all so much for joining me today. I'm Kellosaurus as well. You can find me across Twitch and on all other socials as Kellosaurus TTV. But once again, thank you so much to all of you for joining me today. For those folks that are listening in, as Zoinks mentioned, make sure to follow EngageGG on YouTube, Twitch, and X or Twitter, whatever you want to dub it as, for all updates and news and whenever other future events are going to be happening, because there is a lot in the works behind the scenes. Wink, wink. Nudge, nudge. But thank you once again for tuning in to the Engage GG podcast. That is going to be all of us signing off, and I guess we'll see you at the World Championships. Good luck to everybody. Bye.
Good luck. Bye-bye.
Bye.